Over 60 people work in your house, and you're the only one living there. You have $1 trillion, and this is what your life actually looks like. It all happened overnight. One morning, you wake up, check your screen, and the number doesn't feel real. $1 trillion. Not a billion, not 10 billion. 1 trillion. You are now worth more than 4 Jeff Bezos combined. If you spent $1 million every single day, you wouldn't run out for over 2,700 years. Entire countries have smaller GDPs than your net worth. On paper, it sounds like absolute freedom, but that's not what comes next. Within 24 hours, everyone knows who you are. Your face is everywhere. Every screen, every country, every platform. News channels, social media, conversations. All of it revolves around you. And outside your building, people have already started gathering. Not a few people, hundreds. Some with cameras, some with signs. Others just standing there, staring up at your window, waiting for something. At first, it feels surreal, almost exciting. But that feeling fades quickly, and what replaces it is something much heavier, something closer to fear. So you react. Within 48 hours, you put together a full security detail. 12 trained operators minimum, armed, rotating 24 hours a day, the kind of protection usually reserved for sitting presidents. For a moment, it makes you feel safer. But this is where things begin to shift, because safety comes at a cost, and it's not money, it's freedom. You can't just step outside anymore. Even your car doesn't make sense. So you upgrade, but not in the way most people would. You don't just buy a car, you buy the entire company. Bugatti, $2 billion. A purchase that, for you, feels almost insignificant. The equivalent of someone earning $100,000 a year buying a $200 jacket. Your accountant logs it as a rounding error. And then another realization hits you. You can't stay where you live. Too many people know your address. So you move into a private compound. 14 acres, iron gates, armed security around the clock. A private road that leads to a house you can't even see from the entrance. $200 million. You sign the papers without hesitating. And yet, the moment those gates close behind you for the first time, something changes. You're safe, but you're also isolated. A place like that doesn't run itself. Within a month, 63 people are working on your property. Chefs, housekeepers, drivers, security staff, IT technicians, property managers, a personal assistant who has her own personal assistant. 63 people handling every aspect of your life, making sure everything runs perfectly. And it does. But that's when you notice something strange. You're never truly alone anymore. With everything handled, you start spending more freely. A Boeing 747 completely gutted and rebuilt into a private flying residence. $400 million. A remote island in the South Pacific. The largest private yacht ever built, with a helicopter pad, a submarine bay, and a full medical facility. $600 million. At this level, you can have anything. And that's exactly when something unexpected happens. Your money starts growing faster than you can spend it. Every single day, your wealth increases by millions without you doing anything. You wake up richer than when you fell asleep, again and again, until eventually, money stops being a concern entirely. And when that happens, it also stops being interesting. One day, you find yourself wanting something simple. Just a coffee from the place you used to go to. But even that isn't simple anymore. Your security team needs 45 minutes of advance notice. They plan everything, control the environment, and when you finally walk in, the atmosphere feels completely different. Conversations stop. People stare. Someone quietly starts recording from behind a laptop screen. The barista's hands are shaking. You get your coffee. It tastes exactly the same, but everything else feels different. And in that moment, you understand something clearly. Your old life is gone. So you try to do something meaningful with what you have. You write a check for $500 million to disaster relief. The media covers it for about half a news cycle. People are grateful for roughly 24 hours, and then they want more. They always want more. Because $500 million, relative to what you have, is what you earn in a slow week. And generosity at this scale doesn't make you relatable. It turns you into a resource. And that's when the deeper changes begin. Your phone never stops ringing, but it's no longer friends calling. It's lawyers, wealth managers, heads of state, charity directors. Everyone wants a meeting, a signature, your name attached to their project. Even the people you used to be close to start acting differently, more careful, more distant, like they're measuring every word before it leaves their mouth. You invite your closest friend to the compound for a weekend, hoping things might feel normal again. He says yes before you finish the sentence. When he arrives, he compliments everything: the house, the wine, the view. He agrees with everything you say. He laughs at everything, even when it isn't funny. He used to argue with you about everything: movies, politics, where to eat. That was the whole friendship, and now it's gone. Not because he left, but because the money changed what you are to him. Then come the lawsuits. Not one, not two. 17 lawsuits in the first 6 months. An old business partner claims you shorted him on a deal from 9 years ago. A woman says you verbally promised her $10 million at an event in 2019. You have never been to that city. Your legal team calls them frivolous, but each one costs 6 figures to fight. Each one puts your name in a headline, and your legal budget for the year crosses $40 million. You have an entire floor of a law firm working exclusively on your cases. You settle 3 of them, not because they have merit, but because fighting them publicly costs more than writing the check. And every settlement sends a signal. That signal attracts more people. Because at this point, you're not just wealthy, you're the biggest target in the world. Somewhere in the middle of all this, you meet someone. She's sharp, funny in a way that catches you off guard, and she doesn't mention the money once. For a few weeks, it feels real. Then you start noticing small things. She mentions your island in a conversation you never had with her. She knows your pilot's first name. She knows which car you prefer in the city. Small things. But once you notice them, you can't stop noticing. And a question forms in your mind that you can't get rid of. Is she here for you, or for all of this? You stop calling. She texts twice, then she stops. 2 weeks later, a tabloid runs the story. Photos of you at the restaurant, photos of her leaving your compound, and her name, her face, her address. All public now. You didn't sell it. She didn't sell it. A waiter did. Someone who saw you together and picked up the phone. Her private, anonymous life. Erased because she sat across from you at dinner. You send her an apology. She reads it. She doesn't respond. Then your past starts surfacing. Old conversations, old jokes, text messages from when you were 24, stripped of context and turned into headlines. People who have never met you now have a firm opinion of who you are. Your crisis team tells you the same thing every time. Don't respond. It always makes it worse. So you sit there, behind your 7 screens, and you watch someone sell your history for what your team estimates was $250,000, $250,000. That's what your past was worth to someone who used to be your friend. Your mother calls on a Sunday morning. She sounds exactly the same as she always did. She asks if you're eating enough. She tells you about a bird that keeps getting into her garden. And for 10 minutes, your shoulders drop and your jaw unclenches. For 10 minutes, you almost forget what your life has become. Then she mentions your brother. He's behind on his mortgage. His car needs work. You send him a few million that afternoon. He doesn't call to say thank you. 3 months later, you fly the entire family in on your 747 for a holiday dinner. Your brother sits at the far end of the table. He talks to your cousins, your aunt, anyone but you. When you try to catch his eye, he stares at his plate. He leaves before dessert. He doesn't say goodbye. A week later, your mother calls again. Different tone this time. Quiet. She tells you your brother said something to your cousin, that you ruined the family, that everything changed when the money came. You tell her you'll talk to him. You don't. Because what would you say? You can't unsend the money. You can't undo the jet. You can't walk into his house without 2 armed men waiting in the driveway. The gap between your lives isn't something a conversation can close. Meanwhile, your compound keeps running perfectly. Until your head of security calls a meeting. Someone on your household staff has been feeding information to a tabloid. Consistent, paid, and traced through metadata on a photo. The angle matched a specific window in the east wing. Only 3 people had access to that hallway. It was Linda, the housekeeper. She's escorted off the property on a Wednesday morning, carrying a cardboard box. She doesn't look up. The gate opens, she gets into a car, and it closes behind her. Her replacement is hired by Friday. Everything continues like nothing happened. But you trust a little less than you did before. One night, you can't sleep. You walk through the compound. The theater room, 60 seats, empty. The library, empty. The hallways silent, except for the faint sound of a security camera adjusting, tracking your movement. You go outside. The grass is cold and wet under your feet. You walk to the middle of the lawn and look up. The sky is the same sky you used to stare at when you were broke. You used to lie on the roof of your old apartment and look at it for hours. Rent was late, and you didn't care. Same stars, same silence, same depth. Nothing up there has changed. The next morning, you're back in your office. 7 screens. Your portfolio, your companies, your calendar, a news ticker that mentions your name twice in the first 30 seconds. Outside, security does a shift change. The groundskeeper rides the mower across the lawn. 63 people work here. You are the only one who lives here. You have everything you could ever want, and somehow, it still doesn't feel like enough.